Welcome everybody to this session, ERM 301, Usage Statistics, Counter, and Sushi Harvesting. This is part of our Electronic Resource Management webinar series, and I am Yoel Kortic, Ex Libris Senior Librarian. And before we jump right into the Counter and the Sushi Harvesting, let's just see where we are now in our series here. Those of you who are watching this via YouTube, you will have a link to this series in the description of the video. Those of you who are fortunate enough to see this live, I'll send this in the chat, although I'm assuming all of you already have a link to this. So where are we now? Let's just see. We started out already way back in September with overview and background. Then we move to ordering and activating collections, ordering and activating portfolios, maintaining e-resources, general maintenance, bulk update, troubleshooting discovery. Then last week we had the electronic collection overlap analysis. And here we are today with usage statistics, counter, and sushi harvesting. Now, I'd like to point out that part of the counter, we're going to talk more about this in a moment, but part of the counter is the usage statistics, which are viewable via Alma Analytics. Today, we're going to be talking about loading the counter statistics, either manually or via sushi harvesting. We'll talk about what this sushi harvesting is in a moment. So we're not going to be focusing on the analytics today because we have a dedicated session next week on the analytics. So next week, we're going to see how we can view the usage statistics that today will be showing how they get loaded into Alma. Just so that's clear, even though today we are discussing counter usage statistics, we will be talking and focusing today on the loading and the troubleshooting of those statistics. And next week, when we talk about the analytics of e-resources, we will see those statistics. Okay. So let's begin with something very basic of what is counter and what is sushi. Before we start talking about loading it to Alma, etc., let's make sure we all understand what it is. So counter is a standard for institutions being able to view the usage of their electronic resources. It stands for Counting Online Usage of Networked Electronic Resources, if anybody is interested. It's all at this projectcounter.org. There's no need for us to talk any more about it. It's just enough for us to know that it's a way for institutions to know how much their electronic resources are being used. And when I say how much they are being used, that implies also how much they are not being used, because if it's being used, if a journal has been accessed or had a article downloaded once in the past year, so that's an indication of it not being used. So that's what counter is. The institutions send these reports, the vendors either send these reports to the institutions, or what is 99% of the case, will provide them on their own website, and then they can be harvested. In other words, Alma will go to that website, take them and load them. And we'll talk more about that when we get to the sushi, which is here. So the SUSHI is another acronym, Standardized Usage Statistics Harvesting Initiative. We don't need to go in depth of exactly what it is in general. We're going to see what it is for Alma, but we can open this up here and just go take a brief look at it like we did with the other one. Control click to link. Okay. So here we'll see the standards for the SUSHI. Sushi harvesting, usage, and we'll just spell that a little differently. Okay. So what is sushi? Standardized usage. You've got everything here. Standardized usage statistics. It's a NISO standard. We're going to talk about how this is used inside Alma, how to set it up inside Alma. So that covers generally what is the counter and what is the sushi. Before we go on with seeing that inside Alma, does anybody have any questions or comments about what is sushi or what is counter? I'm going to take a brief look here in the chat, and I don't see anything. Okay, someone said not yet. Okay. So now let's talk about loading the counter usage data into Alma via sushi. So we know what counter is, we know what sushi is. We're going to use the sushi to load the counter into Alma. So let's go into Alma now. Now, every vendor has their own method of what needs to be defined. For example, we're going to define a new vendor right now. But if I come into a vendor already that I know has a sushi account, for example, I know here that ProQuest has one. There's a lot of different fields to fill in. I see an indication here that this is a sushi vendor. And every vendor has their own, I'll even say their own story. I'm going to go into a sushi account. We're going to talk more about how to see these sushi accounts in a moment. But just for now to point out, there's a lot of different fields here that sometimes are required and sometimes are not required. And that is not dependent on Alma or Ex Libris or ProQuest or Clarivate. In this case, because we're talking about ProQuest, it is dependent on ProQuest, but it's not a definition of the software. It's a definition of the vendor. And if I come, for example, and I do a Google search on Alma certified sushi vendors, then we'll get the whole list here and we'll see that each one, we have the definitions here of what needs to be defined. So for example, Alexander Street Press, it says it requires an ID and a customer ID. So it requires a requester ID and a customer ID. Others will not require that or will require more. For example, Allen Press Pinnacle also requires a requester ID and a customer ID, but also an API key. So then this API key would be filled in. Here, for example, this one of ProQuest, it doesn't require a requester ID. So the list is all available here in the sushi vendors list. And as we've gone through over the years where we've worked with institutions to get the information, we've put it in here when required. For example, here's one that requires requester ID and customer ID. Here's one that requires customer ID and API key. And we have the URL of the information, for example, Canadian Science Publishing. So inside here, if an institution didn't know what they need, they would need to go to the website and find it from there. It's not something that we Ex Libris, I just want this to be clear, that's why I'm stressing it. It's not something we Ex Libris determine. We have ways of checking if the connection is correct, and we'll take a look at that. But an institution needs to go to the website or discuss it with whoever you're purchasing it from in order to get the information. Okay. So let's see now how we can set up a sushi account. We have a PowerPoint on it, but I don't want to go too much into the PowerPoint, but let's take a look. How to create and test a Counter Release 5 sushi account. And we're going to create two of them right now. We're going to create two separate sushi accounts, and then we're going to see how we can test that they really got created. So let's first of all go see the vendors inside Alma. I see a question came in, but I'm going to wait until I finish the flow here. I want to create a sushi account. So let's say here, I'll go to vendors, and I'm not going to use this one that's called ProQuest because I want to create one brand new. So let's go to the list of vendors, acquisitions and vendors. And we can create the sushi account in any vendor. In other words, if I'm going to be creating one now called ProQuest, which I'm going to do, I can create it in anything, even this one here called ZZZ. So let's take this one, YVS Limited. Now note here, it says it's a material supplier. We're using YVS Limited, and it states here that it's a material supplier. So let's say here, edit, we're showing now how to create a sushi account. So the sushi accounts are in the usage data tab. And here we say add sushi account. All of this, by the way, is in this PowerPoint. I simply don't want to bore people with the PowerPoint, but you've got all the steps here. And everything we're doing now, we're in the usage data. We're going to do add sushi account. These are available, by the way, here. You've got a link to presentations right here. I'm on the page of the Managing Electronic Resources, and you'll see here the 3 PowerPoints that we've been looking at. Okay. So we're going to say add sushi account release 5. Release 4 we support up until about 2018, 2019. The counter reports were primarily release 4. Then release 5 started getting popular. We fully support release 5. We still support release 4, but release 4 simply isn't as popular anymore. So we're adding a release 5 sushi account. And we're going to add a sushi account for ProQuest. Now, those sushi accounts which you saw here in the certified sushi vendor list, which again, we got to simply go into Google and type Alma, Ex Libris, sushi vendor list, and there it is, first shot. I could give you the URL, but I think it's easier to even do it like that, but I'll send the URL out anyway. Oh, I see people were chatting about that anyway. All right, so everybody's got it. So now if I want to copy from the community zone the sushi vendor and then automatically get the URL, then I can just start typing it right here. For example, if I wanted Wiley and I start typing Wiley, I get Wiley. And if I want ProQuest, I start typing ProQuest, and now I got ProQuest. Now when I choose it, it will fill in automatically the vendor URL. So it filled in this vendor URL. If for whatever reason the vendor tells you to use a different URL than what we have, then you can put it in the override URL. And I'm going to use the override URL because, as you know, I'm doing right now a demo. I'm not really loading live data, live counter reports. So I have from ProQuest a sample URL. The next one we'll do, I'll also change it because this is not the actual real one. So I'll just fill this in, and .com/counter/R5. Okay. Now, for ProQuest, we saw on that list a moment ago, this list here, that every vendor requires different fields to be filled in. So ProQuest, for example, requires requester ID, customer ID, and API key. So I'm going to fill in now the requester ID, the customer ID, and the API key right here. So bear with me while I fill it in. So I'm going to fill in the requester ID. And I'll fill in the username. And I'll fill in the API key. Okay, let's see if I still got this here. No. Okay, so that's going to take a second. Okay, so that's all filled in, and I'll save. Ah, okay. I already have this defined somewhere else with the name ProQuest with that vendor URL. So it's telling me the vendor sushi account you entered is already in use. I already have that under another vendor. So I'm just going to call this ProQuest ERM series, just so it has a different name. Save. Okay. So now I've created an account. I need to schedule the sushi harvesting, and I also need to make sure that this works. I don't want to just leave it like that. First of all, there's more for me to define, but in any case, I don't want to just leave it like this without being 100% sure that everything works. Maybe I didn't put in my username right, or maybe I need another field that I didn't fill in. For example, requester ID I didn't fill in. Maybe I need it. So I can test the connection. So if I say edit, while it's open here, I can say test connection. The test connection goes to the server here, in this case, Sushi Pre ProQuest Com Counter R5, checks the connection, and downloads a file stating if the connection works. Well, if it doesn't go there, I won't have a proper file. If it does go there, I will have a file, and we can test it both ways. So I'm going to say test connection. Connection failed. Aha. Okay, so I probably made a mistake in one of these, and I'm going to put this now, instead of in the customer ID, instead of in the requester ID, in the customer ID. And now I'll save it. So I see I made a mistake. It said connection failed. I fix it. I try again. Again, connection failed. Okay, let's see. 193.940. Username is admin1. HTTP sushi. Oh, I need an S here, maybe. Someone else is telling me about a slash. Let's see. And it's slash com. No, it's slash com. Okay, thank you. Oh, thanks. This is real life debugging. So we see that it's good I have the test connection, because otherwise I would have just sent the sushi harvesting and it never would have worked. Test connection. Beautiful. So now it downloaded a file here, and let's take a look at the file. That depends on your browser, whether it's going to open up, whether you'll see it, however you defined your browser for downloading files. I'm going to click it to open it, and this is the file. It's a JSON file. If I were to view the raw data, it just looks like that. So it says here, service active true. That means the connection is good. Description, counter usage reports for ProQuest platform, registry URL, etc. Let's just go to that registry URL just for the fun. And that just brings you to the project counter with all the different information. So that's how we can create the sushi account and test the connection. It's actually good that we had a little error along the way, because we saw it's a good way to make sure that your connection works. Okay. Now, there are many different types of counter release 5 reports. And that also you can get on that counter page here. This is, if we were to say here, for example, counter reports release 5. So there's a lot of different types of counter reports, usage reports overview. This is a nice one from JSTOR. Springer also has a nice one. They describe the different report types. platform master report, database master report, title master report, platform report, PRP1. For example, let's just say PRP1, and another one is the TRB1, title report for books. So we need to define for this vendor, which we just created, this sushi vendor, what reports we want to harvest. So we do that at the bottom here for add report type. So here's the PRP1, which we just saw right here, PRP1. So I'll say I want to add PRP1. And maybe I also want that TRB1 that we saw a moment ago. And maybe we also want TRB2. So we've added 3 different types of reports, which will be harvested when the sushi harvesting runs for this vendor. Now we can also check that our vendor supports these report types. And we can do that by here per report type checking the connection. When we did test connection up here on top, we were testing the connection for the whole sushi account, the general part of the sushi account. Now we want to check it on the bottom here for the specific report type. So let's check, for example, platform, the PRP1. So I'm going to choose the PRP1 and say test connection with response. When we're checking per report type, it takes a little bit longer to do the test than when we're checking just for the sushi account, because now it's checking the sushi account and the report type. I see it finished here. Let's take a look. Great. So it downloads a sample report. For example, it says here, searches platform. This is the actual counter usage. I'll make this a little larger. I can't make this larger, I'm sorry, because I'm in a add-on here of my browser. Control plus isn't increasing it. So we can see that this is for September 2023, from September 1st to September 30th. That's the usage dates. My name of my institution, just because I'm doing a test, is QA internal. This is just something we use for testing it. Then it says we got 914 searches platform, 342 total item requests. These are the different measures that we're going to see next week when we look at the reports and analytics. 330 unique item requests, etc. So it successfully went and downloaded a sample report. Let's take a look at the TRB1. Test connection with response. And again, it might even say, that it's not supported for that vendor. If for example, it's a vendor of only journals and I'm doing TRB1, it might say it's not supported. Let's take a look here at the TRB1. So here's a TRB1, and it's giving me, for example, let's scroll down a bit. So it says here for an introduction to applied psychology, there were 5 total item requests, 5 unique title requests for the period of September 1st to September 30th. So that's our usage. So in sum, we have defined here a sushi account. We put in the required information, which in our case is customer ID, username, and API key. We saw that we can test connection, and if there's something wrong, it will say connection failed, and we had that happen. Then we fixed it. We did test connection. Now we know that this works. I see that a question came in. I just want to point out here, some sushi accounts require a platform. Most of them don't. In fact, the one we're using now doesn't. And the next one, I'm going to do another example now, and it will require a platform. And like it says here, only 1 code per sushi account. That's something fairly new that we added. That wasn't in at the very beginning. Let me take a look at the chat, but I do want to add another one. So let's say chat. Okay. Can you say something about the platform field in the sushi account setup? Okay, yes. So some vendors require it, most don't. And it's just another parameter to be able to connect to the vendor. Someone says if the vendor doesn't support a report type, does it matter if you leave the report type listed, for example, in case they add it at a later date? You can leave it. There's a log file of the sushi harvesting, and it will simply say no reports available. You can put in a report type even if it's not supported in case at a later stage that will be supported. It's not going to cause any harm. Okay, so I think we answered both of the questions. Let's do another vendor, which does require a platform. So the one we're going to do now is JBE. Let's go see JBE here, actually, just for the fun. See if it's here even. John Benjamin's. Okay. This one here, John Benjamin's. Now, he doesn't have any information listed here. But that information you can obtain here. Well, not on that one. So let's go see. I'm going to add that, John Benjamin's. I'm just going to make a note that this John Benjamin's. Oh, it gets to John Benjamin's. Okay, please check the link. Okay, I'm going to take note of that for later. And to check that on my own time. All right. So let's create a sushi account for John Benjamin's. So again, it can go into any vendor. So let's go to the vendors. Typically, it would go in the vendor that is named John Benjamin's, but it doesn't have to be. There are institutions, for example, who will have multiple vendors for the same actual vendor. Like they might have a ProQuest eBook Central and another ProQuest, or a ProQuest UK Ireland and a ProQuest something else. And you can put the sushi account in any of them. I'm going to put the John Benjamin one, for example, in the John Jones Publishing one. See, it says material supplier now. When we're done, it's going to say it's also a sushi vendor. So let's say edit, and we'll go to the usage data tab again. We'll say add sushi account again, release 5, and now let's get John Benjamin. So I'm just starting to type. It brings it from the from the community zone, and now we can start filling it in. So let's put in here, for example, the requester ID. And let's put in the customer ID. Okay, and the platform. And that should do it. Now, if we want to make sure that this works, again, we'll do the test connection, but I'm going to save it first. Okay, this one also is already in use because I've got it in another vendor. So I'm just going to call this one also ERM series, giving it a new name, save. Okay, now let's test it. Edit. And test connection. Up this time first shot, here it is. I'm going to open it up. Okay, service active true, description, counter service for John Benjamin's, a note, and a registry URL. So we have successfully set that up. Now we'll need here to add a report type. Let's add the PRP1. Let's add also TRJ1 for journals. And that's enough. Let's test the TRJ1. Test connection with response. That was quick. Here's our file. And we have a sample file here. So everything is good. It says no usage is available for those years. Fine. I mean, for that period, but it went and it successfully connected to the vendor and downloaded. So we're all good. We have two vendors now. One we put the sushi vendor in the vendor called YVS. If you recall, we'll see that in a minute. So now if we see the vendor YVS, now it says it's not only a material supplier, but it's also a sushi vendor. And the reason it's a sushi vendor is because in the usage data tab, we have a sushi account. And that's the same with the John Jones Publishing, which we just did right now. Here it is, John Jones Publishing Limited. Here it is. It says it's a sushi vendor. And that's because we added a sushi account. Let's now talk about scheduling, because now we've set up the accounts, but something needs to run a job to have the harvesting work. If we look at these, we can search vendors by the sushi account names. All of our sushi accounts that we created today state ERM. So if we come into one of these, it found the vendor now based on the sushi account in the vendor. Now, the harvesting has to occur. It's possible to manually do the harvesting. Harvest now. When we say harvest, we mean it's going to the vendor, looking for some files, some counter files, and bringing them in. We could manually say harvest now, but it's not realistic for an institution to need to go through all of those different vendors and click harvest now on all of them. So we need a method to have it automatically do the harvesting, and that's via the harvesting job. Before we go into the harvesting job, though, let's just confirm that we covered everything here. This is the file that you all have. And let's see this. Retrieve the vendor and navigate to the usage data tab. Every sushi, okay. So we went to the usage data tab. We said add sushi account, chose release 5. We started typing the name of the sushi account. We were able to automatically copy it from the community zone. We saw that we can put in an override URL, and we used an override URL. And then we can fill in the remaining sushi accounts as needed. We stated that every vendor has different requirements. And then we saw that we can test the connection. And after we test the connection, we get a file. We can open the file and everything's good. Okay. So now we're ready for the scheduling. But I see someone sent in a question. Someone asked, when you do harvest now, now it only does it for a specific time frame, right? When you do the harvest now, it does it for the last 12 months. It looks to see, is there any files from the last 12 months which have not yet been harvested? You can also do a custom harvest where you will, on your own, choose the date range. Okay, so let's now talk about the scheduling. Let me just make that smaller and let's get out of that. Okay, so someone asked, how did I know that the platform for John Benjamin's is J Benjamin's? I would know that by being in touch with the vendor. Same way I would know what is the requester ID, what is the customer ID, what is the API key. The vendor is the body that supplies all of the information that gets filled in the sushi account. Okay. Scheduling. Let's actually look at the PowerPoint briefly on that one. How to schedule and monitor sushi harvesting. Let me close that. Okay. So we need to define the frequency, monitor it, check the uploaded files, and we can do that overall, or we can do it for a specific vendor. So let's leave the PowerPoint for a minute. We need to go, first of all, to the list of jobs for acquisitions. So let's go to configuration, acquisitions, and let's actually go this way. Acquisition jobs configuration, rather than looking through it through the whole menu. And here we have the sushi harvesting job. So here I've just got a demo environment, so I don't have it active. It would just send something and not get any data, but I'll set it up now to be active. So now it's active, and then we can choose when we want it to run. Now, every Saturday at 4 o'clock can be chosen, but running this once a month, once a week is really a little too much. People wanted it, so we put it in there. But just to explain why that could be a little too much, vendors will put their counter data on their server for the harvesting maximum at the best, in the best situation, once a month. In a typical situation, once a month or less. So it might be that one file is harvesting 2 months worth. So if you're doing it every week, 3 times, it's not going to, at least 3 times, it's not going to find a file. And we're going to see by looking in a log file that that happens. So you can schedule, for example, the 4th of every month, the 11th of every month, 18th of every month, 25th of every month, etc. Or you can do the run now here. Run now is like the harvest now that we saw before, but the harvest now that we saw before while we were inside a sushi account is harvesting only for that sushi account. When we click the run now from here, we're doing the harvesting for all of the sushi accounts. So this is where we set it up. I've got another environment where it's set up a little differently. So for example, here, if I go again to configuration, acquisitions jobs configuration here. So here I've got it at every Saturday at 8. So every Saturday at 8, this is running. If I want to see how it's running, there's a few different ways I can do that. One way is to come to admin, monitor jobs, and that means that that sushi harvesting should be running once a week. So if I come to the history, and let's start by getting the last month. So I'll say here, last 30 days. So I'm getting all of the jobs for the last 30 days, and then I will filter here by anything with the word sushi in it. So these ran. Now, they all say completed with errors, which is expected because, like I stated before, if it's running every 7 days, once a week, there will be many cases where it's going to the vendor and not getting data. So, for example, I'll look at the first one. The most recent one, which was run November 18th, 3 days ago, we'll have a report here, and it will say either completed successfully or no usage data available or the URL is not good, etc. But the report that we're going to see in a moment can be used to make sure everything is running properly, the monitoring. So it says 69 records are processed. I'm going to open the Sushi Harvest report by clicking this little button here, this little arrow. And now we have a report. So these say, for example, that the server, Wiley Online, these are all Wiley Online. So there's a problem with Wiley Online. It says server return response code 401. There's something wrong with that, with the Wiley. For Oxford, it connected, but there was no usage available for the requested dates. It probably already got it on another date, but in any case, it failed. Some of them will say completed. So these did complete. So from here, from the sushi harvesting job under the monitor jobs, we can see the status of the different sushi accounts regarding their harvesting. We can also see, for example, if I go now to the Royal Society of Chemistry, we can see it in the sushi account itself. Let's go to the Royal Society of Chemistry. We see it's a sushi vendor. And in the usage data tab here, we'll see the sushi account, and then we'll see on the bottom the files which were loaded, the files which were harvested. So we're checking now per specific vendor what was harvested. So you can see I have one active sushi account for release 5. These are old ones from release 4. And here we can see this is the actual files which were uploaded. These that we're looking at right now, these are the actual files. This is a PRP1 sushi harvested counter report, which was harvested for the Royal Society of Chemistry. From here, I can download that file. I'm going to say download. And I'll have the actual file right here. Let's go take a look at it. It's going to be in my downloads. So this is the file which was loaded via Sushi Harvesting. It says that for these dates, October 1st to October 31st, meaning if it was harvested in November of 2023, it's getting the October data. It had this many unique item requests. It's for a platform now. This many unique item requests, this many total item requests. Total item requests is always more than the unique item requests because by their very nature. And then you can see the different details. Like for Silverchair, it had 12 unique, 3 unique title requests, 13 total item requests. 12 unique item requests, 13 total item requests. So that's checking it on the level of one specific vendor. Before we go look at how to check it on the level of all of the vendors, let's go back to the PowerPoint and just make sure we covered everything with the scheduling and the monitoring. So we went here to the acquisitions, general acquisitions jobs configuration, and we scheduled at a certain time. We saw that there's many other times available. We saw that, we didn't see that you could get email notifications sent to you. We'll take a look at that. We went into the report for the sushi harvesting job, and we went in and we looked here. We saw the results. We saw that we can also preview the records and download, and we're going to get to this in a moment. Let's just see one other thing. I just want to say here, sushi harvesting job, Alma Ex Libris report. And because all of the messages in there, I saw some questions came up about what do the different messages mean. So I could start answering every specific one, but inside, I see people are answering each other as well. Inside the online help about the sushi harvesting job, we've outlined what all of the messages are. The messages used to be very general and now they're much more specific. It's pretty obvious when it says 401 not connected that it's a bad URL. And when it's not connecting, you need to contact the vendor, because as we saw, all of the details, like what is your customer ID, what is your API key, what is your platform, or what to put in there, do you need an API key or not? All of that is dependent on the vendor, and all of it's different per vendor. And even if the same vendor is always requiring requester ID, customer ID, it's different for every institution. So sometimes we work directly with a vendor when there's an issue, but it needs to start that you as an institution need to be directly in touch with the vendor. Okay, we can also check the status of the uploading. We're looking at directly inside the Royal Society of Chemistry SUSHI account. We can also do it from acquisitions, load usage data, right here. Import load usage data. And this is doing like we just saw for Royal Society of Chemistry, where we can see the uploaded files in the bottom section. What we're going to see now is the list of uploaded files for all of the vendors, and we'll also see here whether there were problems. For example, anytime it doesn't say fully processed, it didn't upload the file. For example, here it says no usage available. Here it says failed. And rather than going through that report that we looked at, it's more efficient to see here what we want. For example, from here, I can already say that I want all those uploaded date. We're going to say upload date last 3 months, for example. Then once I have all of those which were loaded in the last 3 months, or whatever range that I want, then we can filter by the status and say all of those which are failed, or all of those with no usage available. Let's say, for example, I want now all of those that failed. So now I have all of those which in the last 3 months failed. I can export this to an Excel. We have this as on almost all screens, the export option here. And then I could say, okay, I obviously have a problem with MIT Press journals. They're all MIT Press, Allen Press also, American Association for the Advancement of Science. And then I know I need to check these vendors with what's going on with them, because they all failed. There's another status here, no usage available, which could be, for example, the question that came in before. You might be trying to harvest a JR1 report, which is a journal report for a vendor like eBook Central that's supplying ebooks. So it might say there's no usage available for that. Then there's fully processed, which is everything worked good, or well, everything worked well. So these are all files which were loaded. They are in analytics. Well, the next day they're in analytics. As you know, there's a nightly ETL. And here also, we can get the data. For example, let's take a journal report. So I've got last 3 months fully processed. And I'm going to say report type. I'm going to take a TRJ1, which is a journal report. So all of these are successfully harvested journal reports. By the way, I could also filter by vendor, and I could filter by SUSHI account. And let's let that finish spinning. Here we go. So all of these were successfully harvested. Here's another one from the Royal Society of Chemistry. Let's take this one here. We can view the report of the upload. It simply states the file ID. That's every file that's loaded has a file ID, how many records were loaded, what the report type is, what's the counter release, the usage start date and end date. So this is for all of October. And from here, I can download the file, download the counter file. Sorry, I keep forgetting words. Or I could have downloaded the counter report directly from the list of files. We'll see in a moment what we call the action items, those 3 dots at the end of the row. Sometimes it's nice to download these files just to take a look at them. So I could have also downloaded it directly from here. Let's take a look. So this is what we just downloaded now. This is the JR1 file. So it's journal requests for JR1 for October. And let's just take a one specific little example. I'll just scroll down. So for title, chemical communications, which has this digital object identifier with this ISSN, we had 104 unique item requests, 172 total item requests. So that's the usage that later can be viewed in the analytics. So let's now close this one. And up until now, we've spoken about harvesting, that job runs and automatically harvests. It's possible also to manually upload. So for example, I downloaded that file now from Royal Society of Chemistry, and I can upload the file as well, manually. If for whatever reason the vendor gives me a file, I can upload it. It doesn't happen a lot. It's 99% of the time a sushi harvesting upload. We see among the institutions how the files are uploaded, but it's possible also to upload the file manually. For example, let's do that right here. So I can say here, load usage data, where we just were a moment ago, acquisitions, load usage data, where were we? Oh, that's because I'm in the configuration, excuse me. Acquisitions, import, load usage data. And let's say upload file. I need to choose a vendor for whom this would be registered. So I'll choose any vendor. I'll take the John one that we had before. John Jones Publishing, I believe it was. I'll say all John Jones Publishing. Now the file. So that should be in my downloads. Yeah, here it is, Royal Society of Chemistry. So now I'm loading that file manually. Upload file, making sure I'm in the right place. Yes, I am. And now that's uploading the file manually that a moment ago, and here it is. So let's see here. This one now is loaded. It's got data for October 2023. It was loaded here. Now the uploading user is Alicia because I'm logged in now as Alicia. That's the primary identifier of the user that uploaded it. Whereas ones which were loaded via the Sushi scheduler, I just switched environments, have the uploading user Sushi scheduler. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. I'm going to stop and take a look at the chat. Everything I've shown, let's show this also. Everything I've shown is in the PowerPoints. I'll stress one more time, the PowerPoints are available right here. When you're in, this is the page of the Electronic Resource Management series. And there's a link here, presentations for the series, and you've got these 3 presentations. What is counter and what is SUSHI, how to create and test a counter release, how to schedule and monitor. Let me just point out one more. There's also a tab here called monthly usage data where you can monitor what's going on. Green means they were harvested. Let's go into a different environment and do that where I've got more data, monthly usage data. So here you can see, for example, if for a certain platform, things are missing. So here I see everything's good. From January to October for 2023, I'm in 2023 here. Green means everything's loaded. But here, for example, for ProQuest eBook Central, I'm missing January, but I have February, March, April, May, and June. Here for this one, for limit title master report limit exceeded, it's another report type. I have May and I have October, but I'm missing all of these. So this is a screen that you can use to monitor what fields you want to appear and what fields you don't want to appear. Excuse me, monitor what data for what months has and has not been uploaded. What we see at the beginning here is great. It's all green from January to October, and we're now in November. There is no data available now for November because we are still in November. But we can see here that some vendors are missing. And here for APS, we have January data, but we don't have the rest of the year. Okay, let me go take a look at the chat here. Okay, can you upload Excel and CVS counter reports? There is a Release 5 Excel version of a counter report which can be loaded. Typically, though, it's a JSON report like the kind that we've seen now. But there is a legitimate Excel Release 5 counter report. Not very popular, but there is one. What are the full range of acceptable file formats for uploading reports to Alma? JSON and CVS, comma separated. CSV, not CVS, CSV, comma separated values. So either JSON or the comma separated values, which typically opens in an Excel. Those are the correct formats, and that's what the vendor will supply. If the vendor supplies the legitimate counter report, then there's no reason to worry that it's not in the correct format. Someone asked if a file for a certain time period type vendor is reloaded, does it overwrite the existing file? Sorry if it was already mentioned. It wasn't already mentioned. It will not overwrite. And if you do it manually, it will ask you if you want to overwrite. For example, if I come here, make sure I'm in the right place, and I load that file again that I loaded a little while ago, acquisitions, load usage data, I'll take that same file which I loaded before, and then we'll trick it, and I'll just go change the dates. And I say here, upload file, and I go choose that same file, it'll tell me that for this vendor, for this time period, you already have data. Do you want to overwrite? If it's going through the SUSHI loader, of course, it won't ask you because it's automated, but it will say that there already was data. So here it says it found the overlap. If, however, let's go to that file, downloads. Hope I don't have anything incriminating in my downloads. And I take this, I'm going to edit with Notepad++, and I'm just going to change the date. So if I say here, instead of 10/31, I'm going to make this 09/01. Actually, I'll just do this. I'll do a global change of 2023 10- to 2023 09. Okay, replace all. Close. File. So I've taken my sushi, my file here, and just changed the date. I'm just going to call this sept. So now that's the same file, but it doesn't have the overlap of the dates. So now if I say upload file, let's do view details. Here's the one September that we just saved. And I'm just in a demo environment, so I can play around and make up my own data and my own dates. So now it's loading, as we can see, and it says it loaded and everything's good. Okay, that brings us to 1 minute over time. Thanks, everybody. We will be posting the recording, and we hope to see you next week for the analytics of the usage data. Have a nice day.